Coming up on the bench, Syracuse football had absolutely no fun in the soccer. The Hurricanes welcomed the Orange to the Sunshine State with nothing but some elite defense and sweet revenge.
And on the court, Syracuse men's basketball is off to a fantastic start. The Orange have outscored their opponents 168-90 through their first two games after missing the big dance the last 4 seasons. Is the men's team back? And women's basketball is also in action tonight against Canisius after taking down New Albany last time out. Can the Orange add another win to their 2-0 record?
And has Syracuse men's soccer head coach Ian McIntyre recaptured that old magic? There's still a long way to go before the national championship, but Coach Mac and co are still on the hunt. Same thing goes for SU field hockey. Our beat reporter Sydney Chan breaks down all you need to know ahead of NCAA tournament action for Lynn Farquhar's squad. On the Bench starts right now. And we welcome you into our CitrusTV studio. Luke Burgess alongside Gino Antimarino. Gino, it's a thrill to be back. We've got a long show today packed with a ton of content. And I'm happy, and I think many SU fans are too, because football season's almost over.
And that means basketball season is here, and two teams that are really clicking right now.
Yeah, well, our headlines of the week are also here. One of the most decorated players in Syracuse women's soccer history is getting some well-deserved recognition. Erin O'Grady, who played with the team from 1997 to 2000, has been announced as a member of the 2026 Connecticut Soccer Hall of Fame class. Congrats to O'Grady. She was pretty good.
Former Syracuse men's lacrosse attackman Owen Hiltz got his first taste of the National Lacrosse League on Saturday. And let's just say there was no settling in period. The Ontario native scored a hat trick. I wonder if any toques were thrown, or beanies, as we say here in the U.S. Hiltz helped lead the Toronto Rock over the Saskatchewan Rush 17-10 in the first exhibition matchup of the season.
Always exciting to see Hiltzy getting some wins. Big news for SU football, too. Star freshman Dimitri Samuel Jr. has announced that he plans to return for his sophomore season with the Orange. The Floridian has demonstrated what he can do on defense, but don't forget, the 17-year-old's a wide receiver as well. He played against Colgate. As a corner, Samuel has totaled more than 30 tackles, almost double-digit pass deflections, and a pick. Safe to say Fran Brown is feeling pretty good to have his young playmaker returning for next season. Well, the year for Syracuse football has been a tough one, but fortunately we found ways to keep things entertaining here at CitrusTV. And who better to do that than our very own Max Gifford, who spent some time at the tailgates this weekend in Miami. Hope you didn't have too much fun, Max. He reminded some fans about some of the shortcomings when the Canes made the trip to the Dome last year.
Last season, Syracuse football put a stamp on the first year of the Fran Brown era with its largest comeback in program history.
A stunner at Syracuse. The Orange come from 21 down.
Now, for Miami fans, that is one that lives in infamy.
Xavier Restrepo fumbled the football. Scoop and score!
So why not pour some salt on the wound and ask Canes fans about the Cuse's comeback that took them out of the college football playoff. I am sweating through my suit right now. Well, let's go find some fans, see what they think. Do you remember last year's game?
Yes, they lost.
What was your reaction to watching that game last year?
Disappointment. I was a little bit surprised, honestly. I didn't really think we were going to lose.
What are you hoping to do after they spoiled the playoff hopes a season ago?
We're hoping to turn that orange into brown.
Do green and orange make brown?
I think they do. Yeah, I think they do.
We're getting the tour right now. Do you think it still keeps them up at night that Kyle McCord carved up Miami to come back from 21 points down?
Absolutely.
My lawyer told me, once you cross 199 North, you're in the United States of America. Stay down here because this is Miami-Dade County.
We were down 21-0. We came back. Wasn't that hard.
UM is the best team. All around.
All around?
All around.
What about Carson Beck?
No.
No?
UM.
Isn't Carson Beck a part of UM?
Yo, stop. I don't know that.
What's Miami going to do to Syracuse today?
BTA.
I think they're coming out here to murder someone today.
All right, before I leave, can I get one throw here?
Yes.
I'm wearing the suit, not wearing excuses. Come on.
Go Canes!
Well, it seems like revenge is on the mind of a lot of Miami fans, but I'll tell you what, I didn't think there was any shot I could get sweatier than I already was. Canes fans were nice enough to provide me some water. I'm going to refresh, I'm going to relax, and you guys can watch how this one went down inside Hard Rock. Guys,
Well, Max, it looks like you guys were having a lot of fun outside the stadium. Inside the stadium, the story was a little bit different. Actually, the first quarter scoreless. Syracuse's offense looks pretty darn good. Into the second quarter, though, and Carson Beck making some plays. Even if you don't know who he is, it doesn't matter. Dalen Upshaw way down the field. Miami driving into the red zone after the offense looked really bad to start the game. And then how about this? A little pass back from a guy who was a quarterback at one point in high school, Malachi Toney. 4 games into his season in his senior year, the quarterback got hurt. He had to take over. He made it look pretty natural there. And then a tale we've seen many times. Ricky Collins throws a pick 6. Keontae Scott, the DB, who normally racks up those TFLs, racks up an INT into the end zone. On the other end, Yasin Willis. Syracuse looks like they might have a chance to score. He's tackled down. All right, you're moving the ball up. No, ball's out. And that's the orange jerseys, not the orange pants that have it. Second quarter now, Syracuse could have been tied in this game. Instead, it's 14-0, and they put some points on the board, courtesy of a 38-yarder from Trip Woody. 14-3 the score, but then Miami just starts to take over that Syracuse defense on the field for far too long. Keelan Marion, normally a kick return guy, takes this one all the way to the Casa, 60-plus yards. Miami starting to roll here, up 3 scores. How about make it another? This is garbage time now. Gerard Pringle Jr., he's just a freshman, but he's already making this defense look silly, and Ricky Collins goes out there for one final effort. Can he get it done? No, he's going to trip up. Miami's defense plays a phenomenal game in this one, though. Really not too much that Syracuse could do whatsoever. How about another turnover? Another pick from Ricky Collins. He didn't even remember that he threw this one when we talked to him after the game, probably because the game was over. Up into the 30s for the Canes now and into the fourth quarter. From the doorstep of the goal line, a little bit of pre-snap motion, and Carson Beck's just going to throw this one right back to the big man. Oh my goodness, this guy's going to be blocking in the NFL soon, but Beck's throwing him TDs. They're having a lot of fun out there. 38-3. Bring in Joseph Velarde. Second appearance of the season. He tosses a touchdown, the only touchdown of the game for Syracuse. For Elijah Washington Baker, Syracuse falls to the Canes 38-10, and our Max Gifford was in Miami.
Well, guys, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. The good news is it's a couple hours later, so I've cooled off, but Syracuse football continued to stay cool after the quarterback carousel has gotten worse and worse. The Orange were handed their 6th straight double-digit loss to number 18 Miami, and after a week off, Ricky Collins got the start back at signal caller, but he may have been better off, well, in the stands. Ricky ripped off a season low in passing yards, threw multiple interceptions for a 3rd game, and was sacked a career high 6 times. Even though his head coach Fran Brown is still pretty indifferent.
I thought they did a good job with adjusting and putting stuff in his hands for him to be able to go make plays. I do think that I felt as though they tried their butts off. They did a good job. I just felt Ricky would have given us the best opportunity of being able to compete. It was up and down. He makes a couple bad decisions. But then he also helps us keep the ball sometimes and being able to do stuff. So I think it was a mixture of both.
I think we covered really well. We mixed up our coverages. We played some man, played some zone. We were able to take away, some of their back shoulder stuff, some of their man beaters. We kept the pressure on the quarterback. He had to make some throws on the run, and just kept them off the schedule. Right, a lot of 2nd and longs, 3rd and longs, and that certainly helps you out.
The loss also means SU is bowl ineligible for the first time in 4 seasons. Now, the Qs can still play college football playoff spoiler following its bye week, 2 weeks from today, when Syracuse travels to South Bend to take on top 10 Notre Dame. Kickoff for that one is set for 3:30. Reporting from Hard Rock Stadium, I'm Max Gifford, CitrusTV.
Yeah, Max, I'll be honest. I don't think anyone is surprised that Syracuse not favored once again. And Gino, that's because Ricky Collins has been the starter now for more than half of the regular season, and he still trails Steve Angeli in passing yards total, who only played 3.5 games.
Yeah, and the interceptions, that's what really gets my attention. 9 for Collins, 2 for Angeli, but then also look at the wins, losses. Just 0 for 5 for Ricky Collins. What is the answer at quarterback, Luke? I have no idea. I think you just got to go through the rest of this season.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
Yeah.
You don't expect to just lose out all of a sudden once you lose your starting quarterback.
Sure.
I think Fran Brown has expressed his disappointment quite consistently. And Syracuse, after bye weeks, which they are going to be coming off of, going to South Bend, really bad, actually. In fact, the last time that they actually won a game off of a bye week was back in 2022 when they became bowl eligible 6-0, beat NC State in the Dome. That was when the students rushed the field for that game, including me, actually. And since then, all losses. And they're all pretty ugly ones, too. You think about that Stanford game.
Yeah,
I
want to talk about
game, but they blew it, really.
the two games last year. You have Pittsburgh, and then you also have Stanford. I mean, Stanford was the ugliest loss last year. I know they lost badly to Pittsburgh. Kyle McCord had 5 interceptions with 3 pick sixes, but that was an ugly Stanford team. You lose at the Dome. I think that loss, and then also Pittsburgh, and then maybe even that third game against Boston College, that third loss, that resulted in Syracuse not having a postseason.
Really not
except
good.
for the bowl game.
Not good stuff.
All right, well, regardless of if Syracuse has a bye week or not, it's been the tale of Syracuse not playing well. And that comes after a game or, like I said, after some time off. So enough talk about this season. It's time to start looking at this upcoming offseason and what Fran Brown and company has to do to make sure that this Syracuse program is turned around. So without further ado, I'm going to give what I think Syracuse should really target this offseason. And Luke, we just talked about it, quarterbacks. It is no doubt something that Syracuse has had an issue with. We just talked about Ricky Collins, whether it's Luke Carney, Joseph Filardi. I mean, it is just so bad ever since that Achilles tear to Angeli. And let's be honest, Achilles tears, if that takes the full 12 months, then all of a sudden, who's starting the first few games of September next year? And you have Ricky Collins, 10 interceptions, 6 touchdowns, one of the worst ratios in the ACC through 7 games. And then you also have Luke Carney, who they don't even trust to throw the football. He's completed just 3 of his 4 passes. That's 4 attempts, right? So he's not even trying to throw the football that much. And it's so bad you have a lacrosse recruit who is a walk-on the football team, Joseph Filardi, stepping in. You got to make sure that this quarterback room is figured out next season, especially if Angeli is not back for the start of next season.
Yeah, and I think that's honestly quite likely, Gino, because like you said, an Achilles tear, that can take a while to come back from, but I think it's the thing that's been plaguing Syracuse.
But before you get to it, I got to give my player.
Oh, sorry.
I have a player in mind. I'm going to say Eli Holstein out of Pittsburgh. We stay in the conference. Eli Holstein, he was benched for Mason Heinschel earlier this year, committed to Alabama, redshirted his freshman year, spent all of last season with Pittsburgh last season, put up some pretty good numbers, completed over 60% of his passes. He can also scramble a little bit as well, averages over 4 yards per carry. He's someone that obviously got benched for Mason Heinschel. Hey, Ricky Collins, take some notes. This is how you play football when you're welcome to the collegiate level. But obviously, I think that this is someone, Holstein, is who you have to go after this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, obviously quarterback's been an issue this year. No secret there. But Syracuse has had an issue for years on end now, struggling with tackling, particularly stopping the running game. Think back to that BC game last season, that Stanford game before Alec Iomanner went off. It's the linebackers that need to be improved on this team. And yes, you have a solid foundational piece now in Antoine Delorier. I think that is huge. Gary Bryant's actually had a pretty solid season as well. There are some promising pieces, but Delorier is really the only guy you want in this program long term. And I think that if you're not improving that run defense next season, teams are going to continue to exploit that. Let's be real. You're not going to have a quarterback at the caliber of Kyle McCord every year. You're not going to have the guy leading the entire nation in passing. And if you can't put up 40 points a game and you're going to let teams run all over you, it's going to be a huge issue. And so for that, I think Syracuse needs to go to Penn State, Tony Rojas.
Okay.
Who obviously you think Penn State, this guy actually played and started at some points last season. This was a game away from the national championship game, but he's got 2 sacks this season. He's a junior. Biggest thing, his head coach just got fired. Penn State is an absolute shambles, so this is your chance to go in and swipe a guy like this who is awfully, awfully good and see if he can help your team out in the long term. I think he could be a huge addition.
Yeah, absolutely. Aside from that Indiana almost upset for Penn State, it's been disastrous for the Nittany Lions. And we know Fran Brown, he's pretty good at recruiting and talking to guys and bringing them into the Syracuse program. So should be interesting to watch.
He sure is. And it seems like Syracuse men's basketball has done an awfully good job of recruiting as well this season. Only 2 games in. We're not getting too ahead of ourselves, but it's certainly exciting. And we're talking about the Hoops team when we come back.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
We welcome you back into our CitrusTV studios. That's Luke Burgess. I'm Gino Antimarino. Now, you can unplug your ears. We're done talking about Syracuse football, who's on a 6-game losing skid. It's time to talk about teams that are doing pretty well. And we start with Syracuse men's basketball, who's looked pretty good, Luke.
Yeah, I mean, it's been really exciting. A 2-0 start, and obviously two teams that you'd certainly expect to beat. But when you think about Delaware State and Binghamton, you expect to beat them big. If you're going to be a good team that's going to compete in March, and that's exactly what Syracuse has done. A 38 and 40-point win, 10 steals against Delaware State, too. The defense, Gino, that has been really the draw for me. They've been fantastic.
They have been. So let's not waste any more time. Let's head to the Dome and see how this one went down. Two programs that have never gone up against each other. In fact, the Hornets have not been a power conference team in over a decade. You can see Kai and Anthony there walking out of the tunnel, and Syracuse right off the bat had a fantastic start. William Kyle with the block, Kings the board, Kai and Anthony, the beauty, making his first collegiate start, and boy did he show out with the defense leading to offense. And here's another example of it. Donnie Freeman. Syracuse forced 15 Hornet turnovers, and the Orange scored 25 points off those giveaways. Here's Donnie Freeman setting up Bryce Zafir from the corner. Knocks it down. His first points in an Orange jersey. Syracuse up 40-17 over Delaware State. We head into halftime. Out of the break, Syracuse picks up right where it leaves off. This dish inside and the flush. The former 5-star Sadiq White with a cool 10 points on the evening. Syracuse 39 assists through the first two games. The numbers for the field goal percentage, that's because they're setting each other up. The most assists for Syracuse through its first two games since 2021. Finding each other, that's resulting in Syracuse having great numbers and field goal percentage, including that dunk right there from Sadiq White. The Orange just looked fantastic. We talked about William Kyle having that block earlier. How about a few more? 6 blocks. The first time a Syracuse player has had 5 or more blocks in the game since 2023. That was Malik Brown. Syracuse takes it 83-43 from the Dome. And the numbers speak for themselves. We talked about the field goal percentage, and the 3-point percentage is slowly starting to come along, Luke. And after the first game
helps when your opponent shoots
against
7%.
Binghamton, but let's not fake it, right? Syracuse shot 1 for 12 from 3 in the first game, in the first half of the first game against Binghamton. Seems to be righting the ship a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, you'll take 38% all day long. I think, especially if you're playing defense the way that Syracuse has so far. It's definitely exciting, Gino. And maybe this team can do something. Adrian Autry's obviously under a lot of pressure to perform well, and that's caused a lot of hot takes in the media. We like hot takes here, obviously, but we don't want to give too many of them, and so for that, we're bringing in a special guest. Get over here. Come on, reel him in.
I can judge your hot takes.
Oh
Don't
my
worry
gosh,
about it.
it just scared the heck. Where did he come from?
Just from the corner.
Oh my gosh.
There's no corner.
Was he the whole time?
Anyway, John, we appreciate you joining us. We're going to talk some men's basketball because that really is what everyone's interested in right now. And so we've got the takeometer here, the how hot meter, whatever you want to call it. It goes from ice cold to fiery hot. And basically, if you're in fiery hot, that means that your take is more improbable. If it's in ice cold, that means it's actually pretty likely to happen. And so we'll start with the guy who's been eating up a ton of headlines here early. No, not Kai and Anthony. Donnie Freeman, who has looked really, really good so far in his short time back from that foot injury last year. Could he be the best power forward in the ACC this year?
Look, if you're going to say that he is the best, that is a hard no for me. I'm saying all the way down this meter, right around this scorching hot area, not all the way boiling, though. That's because Donnie Freeman, look, he's been phenomenal. However, you got to remember the other power forwards in the ACC. I raise you Cam Boozer. I mean, the freshman at Duke has come in and is already one of the best players in the nation. And while him and Donnie Freeman are averaging the same amount of points through 2 games, Boozer has an extra 5 boards per contest over him, an extra assist. And while it's a little bit less efficient, the defense has really stood out for Boozer, where Freeman's been on the ball, but not just quite to that level that other power forwards in the ACC have been. So I'm going to say this one is pretty hot. Now we'll reset it for a second. Guys, what's the next take?
All right, so we talked about Donnie Freeman, one of 2 returners on this Syracuse team. The other, J.J. Starling, who went out in that first game, grabbing his hamstring, didn't play in the second game against Delaware State. In his place, Kyan Anthony, who's been playing pretty well, 15 points in the first game, 19 points his first career start in college. John, do you think Kyan Anthony is good enough to stay in the starting lineup with J.J. Starling coming back?
Look, you guys might not like my answer here, but I'm going to be honest. I'm putting this one around this range here in the not that hot. And that's purely because...
This is the flower range.
Yes, the flower range, sure. The ones where they can still survive. This is a nice spring day. Sure. So I guess Kyan Anthony is making the flowers grow. But at the end of the day, Kyan Anthony has been really, really good. And him and J.J. Starling, I imagine, play fairly similar roles where they're fairly ball dominant, but their main goal on the court is just to score the basketball. And that's what Kyan Anthony has done through 2 games. The freshman's looked phenomenal, averaging 15 through 2. And that's why I think he's got a chance to start a couple while J.J. Starling is back. I do think that Starling ultimately takes that starting spot after a few, but it's going to take a couple, let's call them rehab starts before Kyan Anthony really gets back into the bench and Starling retakes his starting spot.
I feel like you have to give Starling that role. You know, he was a huge part of constructing the team this year. Let's get our meter reset here because this one could break it. I'm going to be honest. How about Syracuse? Obviously, like we talked about before, a lot of pressure to return to March Madness in the NCAA tournament. But John, do you think they could make a deep run in March this year?
Luke, I'm going to need you to step back for a second because I need that ice cold spot because this one is, no, I'm just joking. Put this one all the way on the scorching hot. I mean, that is one of the most improbable takes I've heard in quite some time because, look, Syracuse men's basketball has been really impressive so far to start the year. 2 very big wins over lower tier opponents, but at the end of the day, this team only has 1 guy that has played in March, and it's William Kyle, who has been good, but he's not your star player. He's not your second best player. He's not even your 3rd best player on this team. And if a guy who hasn't experienced March isn't one of your top 3 guys, no chance you can make a deep run. This squad has a lot of upperclassmen, but not a lot of guys who have gone dancing.
John Boccio, Q's Countdown analyst, always bringing the passion and the hot takes. John, don't go anywhere because we may hear from you in just a little bit.
Anyways, I might be back.
We talked about Syracuse men's basketball off to a great start. Well, Syracuse women's basketball also off to a great start. They take on UAlbany, a team that beat Syracuse for the first time in program history a year ago. Syracuse enters this one with vengeance on the mind. Let's see how that one went down. All right, we head back to the Dome. The Great Danes actually lost 4 of their top 5 scorers from last year, so Syracuse already off to a great start. And just like that, Dominique Darius getting a steal and the score. Syracuse recording 17 steals in this one. Layla Filia getting her hands in the passing lane, picking that one off, and finishing at the cup. Just 4 points allowed in that first quarter by Syracuse, the fewest allowed in a quarter since February 2024. Then into halftime, Syracuse 27-10, the fewest amount of points the Orange have allowed in the first half since 2023. So the Orange already off to a great start. Then out of the break, Angelica Velez, oh my gosh, the crossover and the bucket. First 10-point game of her career. One of 3 other players to get double digits in this one. The bench really coming to life as well. They certainly helped Syracuse en route to this one. And the Orange getting the starters and also the bench involved like we just talked about. But UAlbany making things interesting. 27 points in that fourth quarter, but thankfully for the Orange, they score enough to hang on. 64-45. The Orange improved to 2-0 on the year.
Yeah, good stuff. And Syracuse women's basketball back in action tonight as well against Canisius. Another big game in the non-conference. And I don't say that because Canisius, Gino, an intimidating opponent. I say that because of what happened last year. Felicia Leggett-Jack definitely has something to prove this season. And let's see what the Orange did this evening. A big-time win. That's got to feel good. Woo. 96 points on the board. How about 22 for Layla Filia, 21 for Dom Darius. She had one heck of a game as well. A couple of threes. Played only half the game as well. Could have had 40.
Filia and Darius, I mean, 2 of the top players in my opinion for Syracuse, and they're doing an excellent job. Listen, we weren't at the Dome. We were getting updates out, obviously, as the game was going on, but someone who was at the Dome and can provide a little bit more insight is our CitrusTV women's basketball beat reporter, Jake Klein, who's live outside the Dome. Jake, you're looking good. I hope you're staying warm out there. It was snowing here in Syracuse.
I doubt it.
Boy. All right, Jake, welcome in. First things first, obviously Syracuse gave up 27 points in the fourth quarter last time out against UAlbany. How did that Orange defense respond after a little bit of a troublesome last frame last time out?
Well, Gino, to be honest with you, not particularly well. Syracuse is lucky that it scored 96 points because Canisius only scored 79 points in its first 2 games of the season and then goes out there against Syracuse tonight and scores 72. So certainly not what Felicia Leggett-Jack was looking for. At one point in the fourth quarter, it looked like this could be the highest opponent field goal percentage for Syracuse in a game under Felicia Leggett-Jack. They did slow Canisius down a little bit at the end, but Felicia Leggett-Jack told us in the postgame the defense has got to be better.
Jake, Syracuse in its last game, 3 for 22 from 3. Sounds like a familiar refrain, something we were just talking about with the men's team struggling in game 1. Any better tonight?
Yeah, Luke, you said it. 3 for 22 in those first couple of games, and to be honest, not much better tonight. 3 for 9. Syracuse did not even take a three-pointer in the first quarter of this game, then hit its first 2, then went 1 of 7 the rest of the way. Layla Filia told us after the game, the assistant coaches told her she wasn't even allowed to take a three-pointer until she made 2 mid-range jumpers. So certainly a point of emphasis for Felicia Leggett-Jack and her staff to keep the team away from the three-point line because, as you just said, it has not been pretty from beyond the arc for Syracuse women's basketball.
Well, you talked about the struggles from 3, but Syracuse did put up 96 points today, the third most in the Coach Felicia Leggett-Jack era. Jake, I mean, how was Syracuse filling up the stat sheet?
Yeah, a couple of ways, Gino. The first, second chance points, Izoje Uche, a couple of other Syracuse front court players, Journey Thompson. They were great on the boards in this game. Ton of second chance points for Syracuse. The other is that Syracuse caused 28 turnovers in this game and scored 39 points off of those turnovers. So a dynamic defensive effort from Syracuse is what helped them put up 96 points despite those struggles from 3.
Jake, thanks so much for taking the time, and please go in your car or back to your house somewhere to warm up because, boy, it is cold out there. But speaking of getting warm and staying warm, Syracuse women's basketball obviously hopes to do that with its upcoming schedule. A lot of easy opponents to start out the year, as we kind of expected. But then obviously you got Wagner, Utah, Michigan, and Howard all coming up next for Syracuse. And
mostly
obviously
easy opponents now, instead of all.
But you got to take advantage of these types of games, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Ideally, you win all of these. I mean, Michigan could be a bit tough. Utah's not a bad team, but Howard and Wagner, those are must-wins.
All right, well, if you love positivity, I should say, then you got to stick around because there's a whole lot more where that came from. 6-seeded Syracuse men's soccer took on number 5 NC State in the quarterfinals of the ACC tournament. How did that went down? Also in field hockey, speaking of postseason, Syracuse going up against 2-seeded Virginia in the ACC tournament. We got that and more. Stick around on the bench.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where did cats go on vacation? New York.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
On the Bench is back, and we've still got plenty of time on this live late show. We're having a lot of fun, and Gino, Syracuse men's soccer is having a ton of fun as well. The Orange are in the ACC tournament, maybe in a spot that at the beginning of the season, especially after a loss to Duquesne, nobody expected them to be, taking on NC State in the ACC tournament quarterfinal, basically to secure themselves a spot in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, obviously Syracuse is starting to put things together at the right time. That's what matters most, not those games that they kind of dropped earlier in the year where you're kind of scratching your head. This is where you need to put it together.
How did it go down from Raleigh? We'll give you a look at all of that, the Wolfpack and the Orange. And this is a game that Syracuse, quite frankly, not expected to win. That is just the way that it is when you're playing the number 4 team in the country from the regular season. But early on, one of the more talented players on the squad, Chimreo Mese, on the feed from a header, a nice save early on. NC State comes right back out. Frankie DiFrancesco and Tim Brodaric, after scoring 2 goals in the previous game, is playing his natural position and playing some defense right from the goal line. That's great stuff. Later on, Landon Darko. My goodness, this guy's got a knack for breakaways. Scored earlier on in the season, but he's chased down by Callum Tommy, so he can't finish it off. And we go into halftime 0-0. Second half, Sakil Ming, who just scored his first career goal for the Orange. How about another one? Bending it like Beckham into the upper 90, and yes, sir, you should be celebrating Sakil. Great stuff. And then this one, no surprise. Carlos Zambrano, his second Olympico of the season. This guy's got insane talent, and he knows it too. I mean, look at that guy. He's the man. Later on, Tomas Hutt doing exactly what he does. Off the crossbar, down on the dirt, and he makes a phenomenal save. This guy is the only reason that Syracuse is playing where they currently are. But probably in the NCAA tournament, a chance to maybe win the ACC, because there were times where everyone on this team was bad this year. Not Tomas. He has been a leader vocally, also with the way that he's played as well. A couple more chances for NC State. Tomas continues to shine, diving out to his right. Syracuse's back line organizes itself and plays well enough to keep this a 2-0 game. It's looking pretty good. Get another look at how close this one was as well. A literal last-minute save. That would have gone to VAR in the Prem, not in the ACC. And how about a garbage time goal? Because why not? Out in the middle, Chimreo Mese, one try, can't finish it off. A nice steal, good aggression on the press, and then here you go. Late in the game, Omese just going to slide into it and give Syracuse a 3-0 lead. Something that nobody expected. Our reporter, Gino Antimarino, is going to talk to Adam Hipsky in a moment, but we'll give you a look at the ACC tournament bracket. To this point, Syracuse playing SMU in the 6-7 matchup with a chance to play in the final against either Virginia or Cal. Virginia, a very tough team, the 1 seed, and dominated their way through the ACC this year. And now we do have Gino Antimarino, who's over there with Adam Hipsky, our men's soccer beat reporter.
Yeah, thanks, Luke. Here with Adam Hipsky. And Adam, let's not waste any more time, because Syracuse is here to play. And the Orange looked really good, obviously, against NC State. They take on number 7, or 7-seeded, I should say, SMU next in the semifinals. A team that Syracuse already took down this year. What do you see in this matchup?
Well, yeah, when you talk about that matchup back in mid-October, the final score 2-0 for Syracuse. So everyone says, well, the offense isn't the issue against the Mustangs. You certainly trust the Orange offensively. Well, I disagree. Only 2 shots on goal in that game, and both 2 went in. Goals by Landon Darko and Carlos Zambrano. But I'm looking at Tomas Hutt's play. It seems like every single time this guy plays, he's got a new career high in saves. He topped them all in Raleigh in that phenomenal game against the Wolfpack, and that's against an NC State team that's one of the best in the entire country. And no matter what sport, hockey, goalie, in playoff play, you can go as far as your goalie takes you.
Obviously, Syracuse wants to win this match, but let's say that they win it or lose it. How does Syracuse stack up with, obviously, the bids for the NCAA tournament coming up on Saturday?
Well, I think, Gino, if you want to keep it simple, you're locked in with a win. You can't keep this Syracuse team out with a win. That means 3-0-1 against ranked foes in the past month and a half. Right now, SU's 30th in RPI, and that's right there on that bubble with 24 at-large bids. You have 24 auto bids, but don't leave it up to chance. You've got a couple bid stealers out there. There's plenty of games on Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. All of these conference tournaments starting to finalize. So the Orange can't leave it up to chance. You finish the job by beating the Mustangs, and you have that chance against a 7th-seeded SMU team that they've already taken down once.
Can lightning strike twice? Well, we'll have to wait and find out. That match will be on Thursday. If you can't watch the game, make sure you tune in to Adam Hipsky on social media, because he's got you covered wherever you get your social media coverage. Adam Hipsky, thanks so much.
Thanks, Gino.
Luke, back to you at the desk.
Well, Syracuse field hockey is playing just as well, and there's a lot of postseason excitement around what the Orange could do. Of course, that is all spearheaded by the play of Bo Von Kempen, who is just turning in another tremendous season. And in the ACC tournament, taking on Virginia, what do you think she did? Let's go back and replay that one. The Orange, with a ton of pressure, trying to upset the Cavaliers, who gave them some problems last season. But this group seems to have a little bit more tenacity than we've seen in recent years. First quarter, though, it was the Cavaliers getting out to an early lead. Catalina Quinteros on a nice little side shot. That's something that you might see a little bit later on as well. And then we already mentioned her, but Bo Van Kempen. And my goodness, I mean, we should talk about this for 10 minutes of the show, because if she's not the most consistent performer in maybe all of SU athletics, I don't know who is. She's going to add on another one as well. 2 goals before half. Syracuse goes up 2, and we go to the fourth quarter. That is where Suze Lemans equalizes with a strike on a one-timer from way outside. A great, great move to bring us to a shootout. Tane King comes in for Eastland. So Syracuse making a goalie substitution, and it really actually did not work out too well. Our first attempt here, Mary Adams comes in, and that little hesitation move, flicking it behind her, followed up by Sammy Goyne, who tries to go wide. That one's stymied easily. And then you've seen this movie before. After the save, look at this one. Have you seen this move? Tane King did about 5 minutes beforehand. Sniped in the bottom right corner. She wasn't ready for it, and Virginia takes home the win. Big win for the Cavaliers. A little bit disheartening for the Orange. Feeling like they're so close, but Lynn Farquhar's group still can't seem to be victorious in the ACC.
It seems like they just can't figure out Virginia and North Carolina. I mean, look at that. They got eliminated by either of those teams 7 out of the 11 years. Obviously, North Carolina and Virginia, both wagons this year. UNC with one of the best offenses, and UVA with one of the best defenses in all of the country. But yeah, those two teams, they've got Syracuse's number.
So with that, SU field hockey is dancing in the NCAA tournament and going all the way to the Garden State for tourney play. Ooh. That brings in Sydney Chan. She's got more on what to expect for the Orange in postseason play.
It wouldn't be sports if there isn't unpredictability. And it wouldn't be Selection Sunday if there aren't some surprises. I'm Sydney Chan, your CitrusTV field hockey beat reporter, and Selection Sunday was a whirlwind. As a quick reminder, the NCAA tournament features 18 teams. 10 automatic bids go to the champions of each conference, and 8 more teams are selected by the committee. The top 4 ranked teams host the first and second rounds, with Duke hosting the semis and finals this year. Now, let's run through just what happened on Conference Championship Sunday before breaking down this monster of a bracket. A couple of games went exactly as we predicted. Northwestern defeated Iowa to win the Big Ten, and Liberty edged out UConn to take the Big East. But then things got interesting. Drexel beat top-seeded Monmouth in the CAA. Then in the Ivy, number 3 Harvard met number 5 Princeton, and it was the Tigers who came out on top. But what does this win mean for the rest of the bracket? Let's start at the bottom. Virginia is the number 4 seed. They'll face Miami, Ohio, who punched its ticket with an MAC championship win. Then it's the Yale Bulldogs dancing for the first time ever. They'll play Northwestern, who, to the surprise of many, aren't hosting the first rounds. But I'll circle back to that in a second. Then we'll see Harvard, the number 3 seed, taking on New Hampshire, the America East champs. And finally, Wake Forest from the ACC faces Big East runner-up UConn. So what about the second-ranked Wildcats? When they weren't named a host site, the general consensus was shock. But what if I told you it came down to 3 little letters? RPI. The Rating Percentage Index is a stats tool that adds up a team's winning percentage with their opponent's average winning percentage along with their opponent's average winning percentage. Yes, it's exactly as confusing and complicated as it sounds. And apparently, even though the Wildcats have never ranked lower than number 2 this whole season in the coaches poll, their RPI puts them at number 5 in the country, behind North Carolina, Princeton, Harvard, and Virginia. Now let's move to the top half, starting with the number 1 seed, North Carolina. UNC has been the top overall seed in the NCAA tournament for 4 straight years. The Tar Heels won their 9th straight ACC title last weekend and are out for blood against the winner of St. Joseph's and Drexel. The other matchup has Duke facing Iowa. While the Blue Devils hold the series lead, the Hawks have won the last 2 meetings. And now we finally arrived at the quadrant SU will be playing in. Like we predicted, Syracuse is at an Ivy site and faces Liberty in the first round. And you may recognize this matchup. These two teams indeed met 2 years ago in the NCAA tournament first round, where Syracuse edged Liberty 2-1 in overtime. So what makes Liberty a tough opponent? Liberty has won 3 Big East titles in the last 5 years. The Flames flaunt a strong defense anchored by freshman goalkeeper Diane St. Martin, whose goal against average ranks 5th in the nation. So what does Syracuse need to do to advance? Well, first and foremost, the Orange need to stay composed under pressure until the last whistle. During the regular season and the ACC championships, SU had chances against some top-ranked opponents, but lost notable games at the last minute or in overtime. They'll also need to stretch the field with aerials and off-ball movement to keep Liberty's defense on its heels. This goal scored by Aubrey Turner from an aerial from Bo Von Kempen is textbook. Lastly, they have to draw and convert penalty corners. Syracuse has scored 28 times this season off the APC. That's 50% of its total goals. If the Orange check all these boxes, they're in a strong position to advance. Syracuse takes on Liberty Friday at 2:30 at Princeton. Make sure to follow @SydneyO_Chan on X for all your in-game updates.
Sydney, really fantastic stuff. That was way too confusing for me to follow. That's why we bring in our experts. And we're going back to basketball, also back to John Boccio. Stay around.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average 4-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Welcome back to On the Bench with Luke Burgess. I'm Gino Antimarino. We already talked about Syracuse men's basketball, but you know we love them so much. Why don't we just keep talking about them, right?
I think Syracuse loves them. That's the point. The city of Syracuse is all about this team. And Gino, one thing I don't think we've talked about enough is that if this team continues to play well, continues to blow teams out by 40, fans are going to show up. And that is going to make for a really exciting season. Whether the Orange are tournament bound or deep March Madness run bound or what, it's going to be cool.
Yeah, so Syracuse obviously off to a great start. We broke down the Delaware State game earlier in the show, but I want to go back through that game and really break down some of these plays. Obviously, you have Sadiq White, who had just 4 points in the opener against Binghamton, but then he comes out and has 10 points, and he talked about, I'm not concerned with scoring, as long as the team's winning, but it's the playmaking. It's the finding each other. Syracuse averaging almost 20 assists per game, a top 5 mark in the ACC, Luke, and that has really helped them a ton with making sure they're getting easy looks at the basket.
Well, I think the main thing is that Kyan Anthony's success early in the season is really unprecedented. Even for a freshman as good as he is, and even with all the good freshmen, if you watched our friends on No Pulp last night, you would have seen that in all of college basketball. I mean, he's playing an extraordinarily high level right now. And Sadiq White, the results will come. I mean, this guy's a 5-star. Sure. He's a fantastic player. He's got a ton of talent. So just give it time. Sadiq's going to be fine, and Syracuse is winning, so who cares?
Kyan Anthony with his first collegiate start in this one, 19 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Tremendous stuff from the freshman. All right, you heard and saw from John Boccio, Q's countdown analyst, a little bit earlier, but we bring him back in the studio, and it's time to talk a little bit more about this Syracuse men's basketball team.
Absolutely.
So obviously, we want to talk about Syracuse primarily, what has been the biggest surprise for the Orange this season through 2 games?
I think it's pretty evident, and that's the fact that this defense has looked phenomenal so far through 2 games. I mean, the best scoring average against through 2 in the country at just 45 points per game. I mean, SU's allowed the least in the nation, and then it's the first time in over a decade that the Orange have held their opponent under 50 in back-to-back contests. This squad had so many concerns on the defensive end, especially in the paint. There really is no true big man on this squad. The tallest you got is William Kylan's starting lineup at just 6'9", but I mean, these guys are putting together an absolute shift on the defensive end. You got to give all props to them. They've looked really good to start the season, which not a lot of people expected.
They're athletic.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah. John, obviously, like you said, there's a lot of talent all over the floor. The steals, that new thing they're doing with the stops now where they put up the X's. If you get 3 in a row, what's it called, a kill?
The kill, yes.
Right, that's a big part of it. But individually, who stood out to you?
I think it's a pretty easy answer. The biggest standout so far for Syracuse this season has got to be Donnie Freeman. I mean, the guy has looked exactly like Coach Autry has made him out to be throughout the offseason, averaging 20 through 2 games. He's had 20 on the mark through 2. Plus, his defense has looked a lot better than people expected. Really solid through 2 contests. A combined 3 blocks and 2 steals through a pair of games. But I think what people have to be most surprised about with Donnie Freeman is his efficiency. A lot of what people talked about last year was the fact that Donnie Freeman's shot selection was a little bit iffy, and now he has fixed it to the maximum, shooting nearly 70% from the field. Guys, that is unheard of, not just for Donnie Freeman, but in all of college basketball. Averaging 20 on 68% shooting doesn't get much better.
You know, one thing that stuck out to me after that first game, he talked about how much more confident he was in his physical ability. I think that's making a big difference when you talk about backing guys down at the rim.
He said he feels better than he did before his foot injury from last year.
Missed the second half. All right, you talked about Donnie Freeman and how much of a terror he's going to be for the rest of the ACC when we get to that time of the season, but we got to talk about the rest of the ACC. You weren't high on Syracuse getting into the NCAA tournament and going far, but how does the rest of the ACC tournament look like?
Well, I'll tell you one team that could definitely go far in the ACC, and that's a one that not many expected. It's North Carolina. I mean, this squad has just been an absolute wagon to start the year. People thought UNC would be good, but nowhere near this good. The Tar Heels started the year barely scratching the top 25. Then they just took down an 18th ranked Kansas squad with one of the best freshmen in the nation in Darren Peterson, while he still scored 22. This squad all around looked really, really good. Specifically defensively, they held Kansas to just about a 50% shooting from the field, a little lower than 35 from deep, which is solid. But when your team shoots the lights out and dominates the glass like they did, had 15 extra rebounds over Kansas, that's stuff that is basically unprecedented.
Is there anyone that specifically sticks out to you, John?
Oh, well, in the conference, there's one. Look, you've got the Greek god of water. Well, that's Poseidon. The Greek god of war, that's Ares. Well, who's the Greek god of college basketball? It's Neoklis Abdalis. I mean, this guy is an absolute animal.
Oh
he just had 33 points in an overtime win against Providence. He's got one of the most smooth jumpers in college basketball. He's not afraid to use it either. Shot it 23 times against the Friars and made 13 of them. He has looked so good to start the year. Plus, the forward knocked down 5 of his 8 threes. The freshman phenom could not be better. And SU fans, mark your calendars for January 21st because the Neo effect will be in full force inside the JMA Wireless Dome.
You know, the player comparison for him is Luka Doncic, and just seeing those highlights, I mean, you could really see he plays like Luka. He moves and sets up his teammates like Luka.
He's 6'9" and can move like a guard. That's exactly what you look for in pretty much anybody, and he's just 19 years old, guys. Insanity.
Yeah. Great stuff, as always. John Boccio, Q's Countdown analyst. Now we're done talking to you. You can leave. Yeah, go take a shower or something. You look great, but thanks so much for joining us. Coming up on the bench, we've got our performers of the week, as well as our top plays from this past week as well. Wrapping up shop. You won't want to go anywhere. Stick around. On the Bench continues after this.
Yo, camping buddy. Okay, you guys ready?
Dude, I thought you were driving.
I thought you were driving.
Oh, I never said I was driving.
I definitely can't drive.
Okay.
If you're high, just don't drive. It's illegal everywhere. If you feel different, you drive different.
Our time here on the bench is coming to a close, but we're still with you for now. Luke Burgess and Gino Antimarino. And Gino, I know we've talked a lot about the sports that have a lot of eyes on them, particularly with men's basketball and football, although fewer as time goes on. But there's plenty of other action going on as well on the Hill. In fact, Syracuse women's ice hockey, Syracuse volleyball in action, and unfortunately for the Orange, a lot of losses, not all losses though. One win for the
Hey, Syracuse women's ice hockey split the weekend, going down to Missouri to take on Lindenwood, and you win the first game, drop the second game. Syracuse trying to regroup.
Yeah, Syracuse volleyball as well. Another season under Bakir Ganesharatnam, and has started to show some improvement. That is for sure. They're starting to be more competitive. Unfortunately, not with Clemson or Georgia Tech.
It's because the fans are putting their phones away. Like Coach Ganesharatnam said earlier in the year, you got to put your phones away and start cheering on the team.
We've got our performers of the week now. It's time for our best standouts, and we start right back on the rink or on the ice, whatever you want to say. Jordan Bluen, the freshman, scoring a pretty nice goal. We talked about that win over Lindenwood.
Ooh.
Look at the mitts, the toe drag in close.
Oh my gosh.
And then goes up over the glove hand. Only a freshman from Calgary, Alberta, and she's been making an impact. And, Syracuse women's ice hockey as well, some progression. Kind of like what we were talking about with the volleyball team as well. You're starting to see some progress, bringing in some more talented players on a more regular basis.
Well, speaking of bringing in some more talented players, we head back to the basketball court because that's exactly what Syracuse men's basketball did. Number 4, Kyan Anthony, the freshman, getting his first collegiate start against Delaware State. And boy, did he show out. Oh my gosh, lowering the shoulder. He says, "Get off me." 19 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He actually missed 2 free throws. And you know what he said after the game, Luke? It's unacceptable. Unacceptable that he missed 2 free throws. That's what he took away from this game. That's some stuff that you really are looking forward to seeing him move forward down the rest of the season and then maybe a couple years from now as well.
Oh, no question about a couple years from now. And there is a player in another sport that I feel like is on this Players of the Week almost every single week. If there was, I actually wanted to ask our producer, Matt Parry, is anyone on Performers of the Week more than Bo Von Kempen? Because she is incredible. I mean, that game against Virginia that we talked about earlier, that wouldn't have gone to a shootout, wouldn't have gone to any type of extra time if it wasn't for her. She had both goals.
Yeah.
And, she has obviously got a huge knack for the penalty corner, but can score in other ways as well. A couple of assists against Wake Forest. And, I mean, if Syracuse is going to have any success in any of those games that Sydney talked about, it's going to be because of her. That's no secret. My goodness, she's one of the most consistent players in all of SU athletics, and really a pleasure to watch.
Certainly is. All right, we move to number 2, and we head back to the basketball court. Do you know what sport I love the most? We got William Kyle, the UCLA transfer, having himself excellent couple of games, especially against Delaware State. You can see there 8 points, 13 rebounds, 6 blocks. The first time a Syracuse player has had 5 or more blocks in a game since Malik Brown in 2023. That rim protection, he's not very tall, he's 6'9", but he plays the floor like Adrian Autry loves. He's quick, he's fast, he's agile. He says, "Get that dog off my lawn." And Syracuse getting that defense and having it lead to offense.
Gino, I love you, man. You always got the expressions going. And, I mean, get that dog off my lawn. Get those players out of my box is exactly what Tomas Hutt has been saying all year. And there is no question that he is our number 1 performer of the week. He could have been the number 1 performer of the week all of soccer season because this guy is an absolute monster. Not only is a leader on the team, he's good enough for just that. A captain, of course. He's SU's first returning starting keeper since Russell Shealy. And you know what happened the second year Russell Shealy was the keeper?
What, Luke?
I won't say it. No,
what?
I don't want to jinx it.
Oh.
Do your research. 2022 College Cup. Tomas Hutt has been great, though. And, I mean, just a highlight reel of saves. I feel like every single time he goes out there and plays. That game against NC State, yeah, the scoreline looks pretty. You think the offense did well, but it could have been a lot closer if it was not for Hutt's pretty incredible performance. My goodness, he has been awfully, awfully good. And, Gino, a lot of excitement right now on Syracuse's campus. We're going back and forth on these performers, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, there is a lot of potential, a lot of really solid players making a name for themselves in the moment.
Especially in the postseason. So let's get into our top plays of the week as well, because I have a feeling we head back to the pitch, and that's because Syracuse in a bout with NC State. And look what happens here. We talked about it earlier in the show, but Tim Bradarich, oh my goodness. I'm going to say the saying again. Why not? Get that dog off my lawn. How did he keep that ball out of the net? Oh my goodness.
Syracuse volleyball, like I said, playing more competitive, and someone who's always competitive. Skylar George, not only offensively, she does lead the team in average kills over the last 2 seasons, but how about defensively too? Some backtracking hustle. They almost a pancake there. That's about the only volleyball terminology I really know.
Yeah, absolutely right. We head to number 3, back to the court. Kai and Anthony letting it fly. And 1, the freshman really showcasing his stuff. 19 points. Can't talk about him enough. Just the confidence to let it fly, especially early on in this season.
A 4-point play. How you doing, Kai and Anthony? Shaking his head. I'm sure he thinks that's pretty acceptable. And this is certainly acceptable as well if you're going to challenge for a national championship. Tomas Hutt, 1 save, a deflection, crossbar, left hand, he's on top of it. Come on. Tomas Hutt making plays for Syracuse men's soccer, which is all he has done in his 2 seasons as a starter. Another thing we didn't mention, coming over from West Point too, so you know that guy is built legit.
He's ready to go.
He played with a bandage on his head earlier in the season.
That is grit. And for number 1, I mean, this is some truly fantastic stuff. I'm going to do my best Nick Whaley impression. Zambrano! Zambrano! Shout out Q's Countdown host Nick Whaley. Carlos Zambrano, his 2nd Olympico goal of the season. How you doing?
Men's soccer. That's got to be
that just
where
fired
all the
me
excitement
up.
is. I mean, you were talking to Adam Hipsky. Yeah, I see you. You're pacing around. You're striding. You can't stay still. You're really excited. And Syracuse men's soccer, I do want to touch on that one more time before we finish things up here, because playing SMU with a chance to either play the 1 or the 12 seed in the final of the ACC tournament, they've probably already locked up their place in the College Cup. You got to be excited about what this team can do with Ian McIntyre at the helm.
Yeah, and Adam Hipsky, our CitrusTV beat reporter for the men's team, talked about it. Syracuse is putting it together at the right time. You love to see it. This is exciting stuff.
You got Landon Darko, of course, who's been great offensively, has scored a ton of goals this year. And then the other guy I'm looking at to maybe go and perform down the stretch, Tim Bradarich.
Yeah.
Guy had 2 goals in the first round game against Virginia Tech, and then he's saving goals as well. That's pretty impressive. We'll see where they go. We want to give a big thank you to our executive producer, Matt Parry. For Gino, I'm Luke. That's been On the Bench. These are our images of the week.
Syracuse rolls into Game 2 with real optimism in the air. 11 new players, a full roster overhaul, and a 38-point win to open the season.
He's on the break, 1-on-2. Freeman splits the pair and goes up and finishes. Donnie Freeman and 1, turning defense into offense.
Syracuse, Fennell to Freeman, the lob, White the hammer. The ball movement by Syracuse on the fast break is just superb. Around the Kyle screen, has space, far slot, fires a 20-footer. No good, Kyle, the putback stuff. William Kyle, he almost just blew it open.
Just like the wind.
It has been orange all day, a thorough beating of the Delaware State.